Alright, now we're going to try the Cable Provider Tool project. This project is of medium difficulty, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. If you struggled with this, I would recommend going back to the introduction and looking through the quickly how-to and working through the exercises. Let's go ahead and, as usual, download all of the resources. I'm going to download the instructions, download the provider pricing materials. I'm going to show that in the folder. Okay, here we have in our downloads these two things we just downloaded. I'm going to move those over to a folder that I've already created in my documents. The Cable Provider Tool. I'm going to move these right in here. I'm going to extract everything from this materials folder. Extract all. I'm just going to extract it right here. And here we have all of these different pricing workbooks for the 4 different companies that we will be looking at. We can at this point go ahead and delete the folders because we have our instructions and the 4 things that we need. And let's go ahead and open up the instructions. This project includes these 4 pricing files. That's true. The project description. Oh, it's a long one. All right. Now, for this project description, essentially, we want to make a tool that looks kind of like this. And if you input different things, it'll show you different prices. Green being the best price, red being the least favorable price. The highest price is highest price for the consumer. I will not be providing an extra credit solution, that's true. And here's what we need to do for this. You're looking to buy cable TV, but want to make sure you're getting the best deal. You decide the only reasonable decision is to create a tool that will help you get the best value for your needs. This tool will compare the cost of cable TV from each of the 4 cable providers for 1 year of service. Assume you have nothing and have to pay all the setup costs. You have 4 cable providers in your area: Oceanic, Stark Industries, Wonka TV, and Wayne Enterprises. You download the pricing details from each of the 4 cable companies. That is what these 4 are. That's somehow you got the pricing details from all of these different companies. And we need to take these 3 factors into consideration in our tool: the number of cable boxes. So if you have 4 TVs, you need 4 cable boxes. The number of channels, and it says you can calculate the cost of channels by the cheapest package that will supply at least as many channels as inputted. So if you want 200 channels, the 150 channel package won't work, but the 300 channel package will work because it has at least 200 channels. If a number of inputted channels exceeds the maximum number of channels offered by a specific cable company, then the cable company cannot be purchased and the price should be NA instead of a number. And so that means if you put in you want 500 channels, and let's say Oceanic only offers 400 channels at its maximum, then it will not suit your needs and it should not be purchased, regardless of price. Hence, the not applicable. Extra TV packages, sports, news, lifestyle, or kids. Additionally, use conditional formatting to show the best prices in green and the worst prices in red. All right. Now, this is a lot. If this is the first project you're doing, it can be tough to go, well, where do I start? And I would say the best place to start would be to open up these 4, put them in the same workbook, and then try recreating this visually in Excel. And I think that's a good place to start. If you haven't gotten that far, I'd go ahead and give that a shot. Now, going forward, I'm going to go ahead and open all of these up. I'm going to open them up just like that. Open them up in my other monitor, but it opened them all up. There we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Now I'm going to put them all in the same workbook. So I'll move this over to Oceanic. Oh. Enable editing on all of these. and Control Tab to go between these. Alt EM to move it. Gonna move it to this. Same, Control Tab to go to a different workbook. Alt EM to move it. I'm gonna move you to the very end. There you go. Go to another workbook. There you go. Alt EM. Nope. Alt EM. Oceanic. There you go. All right, now I've got all 4 of these in one workbook. And I'm going to order them just as they are in here. Oceanic, Stark, Wayne, Wonka. Oceanic, Stark, Wayne, Wonka. I'm putting them in this order because I tried to create it to where it went from easiest to most difficult, so you can get a little bit more comfortable each way you go. Now I'm going to put in another tab, Shift F11, or you can just right click and put Insert to insert a sheet. You can insert a worksheet right there. Do we have a tab name for this? I don't know if we do. I'm just going to call it pricing tool. Increase the size of this. All right, now we want to make in A to D this thing that says cable provider comparison. So I'm just going to go ahead and just recreate everything I see here. B3, number of cable boxes. B5, it looks like about number of channels. Extra TV packages in B7. And then we have these down here, B13, cable provider name and total price. Cable provider name, total price, Oceanic, Stark Industries, Wayne Enterprises. I'm gonna go Wonka TV. So we have that. Now I'm going to go ahead and merge these cells so it can look nice and stretched out like this does here. So I'm gonna merge and center. I'm gonna open this one up a little bit. You just double click to auto do it. It'll go to the widest of the cells in this column. Same with C. That's pretty much already done like that. So I'll just copy the width from this one. That's Control AV to paste special. I'm gonna paste the width. I'm gonna do a thick outside border. Same for this one. I'm gonna do a little green type color to show that it's an input cell. That looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and do all the borders. I don't know. I'm just kind of, that'll work. And then here it looks like I did some type of Control 1 to open up the format. For the borders, I'm going to put dotted in here like that. Is that what I did? Looks like about right. Yeah, close enough. Can bold that, center them. All right. Starting to resemble something like this. Let's go ahead and all of these I'm going to make the background gray. Need to go back and change these to green. Do the lighter one. Gonna make this red. And I'm gonna make the font white. I'm gonna make it bold. Let's go ahead and widen these down. It's starting to look pretty good. I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. I don't like how dark that is. It's hurting my eyes. There we go. Outside border it. Gonna go ahead and there we go. Maybe we should make these white on the inside. Cool. And total price, we're gonna put these in soon. Those will be formulas. And now we need to add these little check boxes. Now, where to find these check boxes? You'll find them. What is this? Go away. Put them in the developer. It looks like I don't have developer enabled right now. Let's go ahead and enable that then. It's got to be in options. So where's it? Customize ribbon add-ins. Advanced. It's got to be in advanced, right? No, silly me. Customize ribbon. There we go. Developer. Check that on. It might be those. It's looking pretty good. What do we call that one? Kids. All right, now I'm going to copy it, make 4 more of those. 1, 2, 3, or 3 more of those. You can go and put this in design mode. Can you not? What's going on? Now to move these, I'm right clicking on these. For whatever reason, I can't put it into design mode where I can just move them around. So you can just right click them and you'll be able to access them like that. So I'm just gonna right click this. And I'm gonna pull it over here. Right click this one. Pull it over here. It's killing me. Close enough. And then we want sports, news, lifestyle. Sports, news, lifestyle. All right, looking pretty similar. I would go as far as to say similar enough. And that's kind of what we got. It should be an 8 and 9, and I got it stretched from 8 to 10. We'll make it work. So I'm going to put in another one. I'm going to call this one details. And I'm actually going to change the name of this to comparison. I'm going to color it gray so you look at it and you know, all right, it's grayed out. Not something I necessarily need to look at. But what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to keep the lists and the values of everything on here. So I'm not going to clutter this tab up. I want to keep this tab for this nice form here, but the number of cable boxes is going to require a list, and you can do that with a data validation. Come here and do data validation, but we need a list first. So we're going to go number of cable boxes. I'm going to keep that list right here. And if you remember in this, it said that we want 5 options, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 plus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus. All right, nice little list we got there. We're gonna go ahead and data validate. Do a list, source it. And we're gonna go over to the details tab, get this entire list right there. And I actually like to include a space in there too, so I'm gonna exit out of this. And I'm gonna insert a row, or you could just insert one cell and say shift cells down. That also works. And then I'm gonna come here, get a list, go drag the source, and I'm gonna get everything with the space. All right, so now you can choose. You can have 3, I want 5 or more. I want none. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and put them like that. Is that going to change something? No, it's not. Guess I'll have to do that in this one. There, much better. Okay, so that's our number of cable boxes. Number of channels, that's just an input. We can do 0, we can do 150, we can do 1,000,000. I wonder if that actually was 1,000,000. That's pretty quick. So if that's a free input, so we don't need a list for that. But for these, we need something to register whether this is checked or not. We need to be able to convert this to a cell, and how we do this for these specific checkboxes is we format the control, and we have a cell link. So if I were to link that cell, I'm gonna select a cell. If I were to link it to this one right here, you can see it'll tell us if it's checked. True if it's checked, false if it's not checked, true, false, true, false, true, false. Boom. So I'm going to go ahead and move all of these over to the details tab. Kids, sports, news, lifestyle. And then I'm going to link all of these cells right here to their respective checkboxes. And I'm going to B10. Sports. News. You are going to be B12. Lifestyle. You are going to be B13. Makes sense. So if I were to check on the lifestyle and sports, I should see 2 trues, true, true, under lifestyle and sports. I'm going to go ahead and populate these. So it should have 4 falses. All right, we're doing good. Now that we have everything set up, hopefully setting up each of these prices is going to be fairly simple. And actually, I would like to do one more thing. And that's that I'm going to name some of these ranges. And that's going to help because we're going to reference these in our formulas and all of these other tabs right here when we go and we try and make these pricing details work. So I'm going to call this number of cable boxes. And you're going to see why this is actually going to turn out to be fairly nice. I'm going to call this number of channels. Number of channels. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to label each of these flags. This will be kids flag. This will be sports flag. This will be news flag. And this will be lifestyle flag. All right, 6 quick named ranges. Now I'm going to go on and I'm going to look at the Oceanic Cable Company pricing. Now I'm going to put a row of stars in here just to control enter and it'll drag it across the range. I'm going to go and give it a little green color. And this is just to segment what we were given to the formulas down here that we are going to create ourselves. Now it says here the pricing structure is $100 per cable box for the maximum 500. So if they do 5 plus, that just means 500. $50 total to set up all of the purchase cable boxes. So whether they buy 1 cable box or 5 cable boxes, it's going to cost them $50. So the minimum should be $50. Well, the minimum should be $150 if they're getting 1 cable box and 1 setup. So this is the upfront costs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do that right now. Upfront costs. How much does the box cost? How much does the setup cost? And for this, I'm going to do this equals, and if you remember, we named those ranges. So this is going to be the number of cable boxes. That just refers to that range, the number of cable boxes that we already named earlier. And I'm going to multiply that by 100. Now that'll work if we have 1 selected here, then it should cost 100. If it has 2 selected here, it should cost 200. But if it is 5 plus, this is a string, it's not a number. Excel doesn't recognize it as a number, so it'll give you an error. So what we need to do is we need to go in here, we need to say if this is equal to 5 or more cable boxes, then we want it just to be 5. Otherwise, just use whatever this value was for this. So now it's 500, because 5 plus has been realigned to just be 5. So hopefully that works. If we go ahead and we choose 3, it should be 300. Perfect, it's working great. In fact, I'm going to keep it default on 3, just for testing's sake. And the setup, this is just total $50. And here I'm going to say total upfront costs, and I'm going to sum this. I'm going to sum everything up here. Another thing we could do if we don't want to write that out, it has this nice auto sum feature in Excel. We can click Alt equals and it'll sum everything above it if there's a column of numbers above it. Pretty simple. I'm going to put that in a little box right there. Hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier to see. Now I'm going to make another one of these because I have to do the same with recurring costs. For the recurring costs, you cannot decide how many channels you want with Oceanic. You have one option with Oceanic. It's just you get 460 channels and it costs you $100 a month. So for the channels, it's just going to be $100 a month. Well, it's a formula, so we have to put in equals. $100 a month times 12 months. So it's always going to be $1,200 regardless of how many channels you actually want. Unless you want more than 460 channels, in which case you can't, Oceanic won't give you service. It only gives you a maximum of 460. And in addition to the channels, it offers additional packages. And it's just going to be $10 per month. So I'm going to do a count if, to where I'm going to count if any of these are true. Let's try it out. Count if, we have to pick a range and a criteria. The range is these flags right here. And the criteria will be TRUE, true. 0. Right now, none of those are true, but if we go ahead and we click on news and sports, this says 2 trues right there, and this should have a value of 2. It is counting the number of trues in that list. So we are going to multiply that. I'm going to keep these 2 on. Should still be 2. I'm going to multiply that by an additional $10 a month, so it'll be $10. Then for an entire year of service, that'll be 12 for 12 months. So that'll be a total of $240 additional for those 2 other packages that we wanted, which will come out to a total of $1,440 and $350. And we will be able to add that up here. So we can just do this one plus this one, $1,790. All right, we've got one of the 4 done. Oceanic was the simplest of the 4, and it's only going to get more difficult from here, but we did do it. Now moving on to Stark. I'm going to copy this same thing right here. All right. Now I'm just going to reference the number of channels, the number of packages right here. Hopefully it'll make it easy. Number of channels. And you see with this one, it actually doesn't have specific packages that cost more than others. It's just you pay per package. So it doesn't really matter. We can just count the number of packages. So I'm going to go number of packages. And I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to copy this entire formula right here. If this list is true, then count it. just going to go ahead and put 100 channels in here. Number of channels, number of packages. Okay, we're looking good. Now we want, just as we did in this one, the upfront costs. I'm just going to copy this whole thing here. For the upfront costs, we had the box and the setup in the last one. Here we do $349.99 for any number of cable boxes, which includes setup. Isn't that nice? Super easy, box and setup. That's just $349.99. We can just delete this row right here. So the total would be $349. Simple enough. Now we have to do the recurring costs. For the recurring costs, with Stark we have pricing tiers. There's the bronze tier, which is 30 TV channels and nothing else. And that just costs $50 a month. For the silver tier, it's got 30 channels and 100 cable channels, so it's a total of 130 channels, and 2 extra packages of your choice. That'll be $94.99, and then with gold tier, it gives you 430 channels, all the packages, and only costs you $130 a month. What a steal! And so I think the way that we are going to go about this, we are going to price out what it'll be for each tier, and then from there, we can include this promotion. It runs a promotion where new customers receive 40% off each of their first 3 months when signing a 1-year contract. And this promotion does not include the setup costs. So I'm going to do the tier here. We have 3 tiers. I'm going to do bronze, silver, and gold. I'm going to do a flag for if it falls in any of these. So for instance, if we have 20 channels and no packages, that is covered by the bronze tier. But that is also covered by the silver tier, because silver offers us at least 20 channels and at least no packages. And so we don't want to flag for each of these. So this is actually going to be quite complicated to try and do. And then of course, I'm going to put the price so that we can reference this and we can just look for a flag, and then we can just grab the price with a nice little V lookup. The price for this one is $49.99 a month, $94.99 a month, $129.99 a month. Beautiful. Now I think this one can be quite simple. We're simply looking for if this, the number of channels, is less than or equal to 30. And you know what, this is 2, so I'm going to go ahead and put an and in there. If that is less than or equal to 30, and this, the number of packages, is equal to 0, then I'm going to say true. Otherwise, you are false. Now for the silver tier, we want if, I can probably copy this and just say if this is less than 130 and this is less than or equal to 2, and true, otherwise false. And it's looking good so far, but we need to remember to include one thing, and that's that both of these cannot be true. So for here, both of these are true, and that's not going to work. We can't be on the bronze and silver tier. We can only be on one. So we need to say if and this is true, and this is true, and not, and this is not true. So if the value of E22 is true, then this will be false. If the value is false, then this is not false, or it's true. It's a fancy little not function. I don't use the not very often. It's nice to be able to pull that up for this project. And in the last one, we are going to do something similar. You know what, I'm actually going to make this an absolute reference, which means regardless of where we copy this cell 2, this function 2, it is not going to change off of this cell. I'm also going to make this an absolute reference. And so if I copy this down, the not is going to move because it doesn't have the dollar signs in front of the references, which means it's conditional, or what's it called? Relative? Yeah, it's a relative reference, whereas these stay right there where they should be. It's an absolutely crucial thing to know, so definitely learn absolute and relative references. Now for this one, 430 channels. That's less than 430 channels. And it's less than or equal to 4. Technically we don't even need this because 4 is the maximum, but I'm going to keep it in there anyway. Then true, otherwise false. And I guess we need to include another one to be like, can't be in there. You also can't be. Oh, include too many parentheses. Let's test it out. We got 25 and 0. If I add on a couple of these, now it's no longer in the bronze, so it can be in the silver now. Still can't be in the gold, even though this does fit the gold's what it offers. But because this is true, so if I go ahead and change this to 170, which should be above what the silver can offer, boom, this is false, so now this can be true. And if this ends up being 600 channels, then all of these are false. All right, perfect. 130, that should fit perfectly in silver, yes. All right. So now we have been able to establish if it is in the bronze or silver or gold tier. So now at this point we need to include the promotion into the pricing and we are done. This promotion offers new customers, and would be a new customer, 40% off their first 3 months. So I'm going to have a cost for the first 3 months, cost January to March. Then I'm going to have the cost, and I'm going to do April to December being the last 9 months, last 9 months of the year. So for this, I'm going to do a VLOOKUP. And I'm going to look up the value true. I'm going to look it up in this table right here. And when it finds true, I want it to pull the value in the second column. So right here, silver is true, so it's going to go and find the first true. Go ahead and grab 94.99 in the second column. And then always remember to do 0 for this, unless you really know what you're doing. False is an exact match. That's exactly what you need. And then I'm going to multiply that by 3 months. And I'm going to multiply that by 1 minus 40%, because it is 40% off. And I should probably round that. There we go. Then I'm going to do that same exact thing. Copy the formula right here. Except I'm not going to include this promotion. And I am not going to do it for 3 months. I'm going to do it for 9 months. As expected, that is much more expensive. $854.91. I'm going to go ahead and make these all dollar amounts. And then so for Stark, the total will be this plus this. This plus this. And there we go. So it's nice. You can see these prices changing as you put on different things. Oh, we've got such a nice tool going right now. All right, let's move on. We got Wayne Enterprises now. All right, look at that. We are halfway done. on to Wayne Enterprises with this funky chart of a pricing structure. Oh, I can't imagine a company having this in real life. That would just be ridiculous. For the upfront costs, oh, look at that. There's none. Batman's such a good guy. Wayne Enterprises delivers and sets up any number of boxes to you free of charge. Well, isn't that great? Recurring costs. Wayne Enterprises uses a formula, a fancy formula, to determine exactly how much your TV channels will cost. And they do it based on this table. We need the number of cable boxes, so that's going to be relevant. There's a cost per channel for the first 60, a cost per channel for channels 61 through 500, and then there's an additional cost per TV package. And it looks like the price per channel and the price per channel and the price per TV package increases with each additional cable box. So that's how they can get away with not charging for cable boxes. They just charge more if you have more cable boxes. Now, additionally, it says Wayne Enterprises gives the kids package for only $1 a month to users that have at least 60 channels. That's good, Wayne Enterprises is looking out for the kids. So, what are some things we need for this? We need to know the number of cable boxes. So I'm going to bring that in here. Number of cable boxes. That's just equal to the number of cable boxes. We need to know the number of channels. That would be nice to know too. Number of channels. All right. It looks like we need to know the number of packages, and additionally we need to focus on the kids package specifically because it gives a special deal for the kids package. So I'm going to look at the kids package, and I'm going to look at the number of other packages that are not the kids package. So this will just be the kids flag. I guess I'll just write it again. Count if, because I'm going to change the range. I'm not going to include kids this time. I'm just going to go straight these three. It's the range, and then the criteria is true. There we go. The kids package is true right now, and then there is one other additional package active right now. And so now we have all the information we need to go ahead and recreate this formula that'll let us know how much it costs. I'm going to go ahead and copy this recurring formula, recurring costs bucket over here. And we don't care about the costs for these. Oh, this should not be total upfront, this should be total recurring. Oh, I haven't been changing the labels. All right, so we have the channels, because the channels have a specific cost. And for the channels, okay, so this is going to be interesting. We need to look up a price for the first 60 and a price for 61 through 500. First off, we need to look up how many cable boxes we have. And I'm going to do that by looking up this number of cable boxes right here. We look up the number of cable boxes. We are looking for the number 1. That's the lookup value. We're looking for number 1. We are going to look it up. We'll look it up in this table right here. And so you always put what you're looking up in the left column for a VLOOKUP. Then you select the columns you might be using. And for this one, we are going to be using column number 2 because we want the price for the first 60. Not 3, 2, 0. Actually, can we make this a little bigger? Maybe that'll help it to see. So we are looking up 1 in this table right here. That is this table we declared right here. We're going to pull the second column from it, and we are putting 0 because we want an exact match. And that says it is 1.5, aka $1.50 for 1. If we change that to 2, that should say $1.60. All right. We have $1.60, but then we want to multiply that by the number of channels we are buying. And right now we have 200 channels. And so we want to use a minimum function. We want to multiply 200, or we want to multiply the cost of each channel by this number, or if this number is greater than 60, we only want to multiply it by 60. Total of $96. Because if this is 200, say F9 to step into it, the minimum of 260 is 60. And so we only want to multiply 60 by this first price for the first 60 channels. And then we have to go ahead and add this. To another lookup. And this time we are going to want the third column right here. So this is the first column, second column, third column. We want the price for the next 61 to 500 channels. So it'll be third column, looking up the same value, looking up the same table, third column, and this time we are going to do a maximum. Now we want to get this number minus 60. So if this is 61, then this will be one channel, or in this case it's 200, so it's going to be 200 minus 60, which is 140 channels, which is exactly what we want. But there is a scenario where this is less than 60, so if they only want 30 channels, we don't want to multiply by negative 30 channels, because that's what 30 minus 60 would come to. So in that case, we have to put a 0. So in the case that this is negative, it'll take the maximum of these two, which means we're multiplying by 0, aka not to factor this into the equation. And that's how we would do it. So the first 60 costs $96, and then the next 140 only cost us $28. So at the point that you get 60 channels, you might as well get another 500 channels, because that's just how they price things here at Wayne Enterprises. But this is only the monthly price, so we need to remember to multiply all of this by 12 for a yearly price. All right, hopefully you were able to get that or something like that, because that was a fairly complicated formula. Now, we have two other things to consider: the price for the kids package and then the price for the other package. So I'm going to put one in here, kids package. I'm going to remove the borders, just put a border right there, and then other packages. Now the kids package discount, it only triggers if they have at least 60 channels. So we need to say, first off, we need to look if they even selected the channel. If they didn't select the channel, we don't need to worry about it. If they did select the channel, then we are going to look, is this greater than or equal to 60? Because if it's at least 60, then we're in business. And at that point, the monthly cost is $1. If it's not at least 60, then we're going to go and have to look up on this how much it's going to cost. So we're going to have to VLOOKUP, look up the number of packages being 1. We're not looking up the kids package, we're looking up the number of cable boxes. So we need to look up the number of cable boxes in this table. And this time we are going to want the fourth column. And as always, not as always, but unless you know that you want an approximate match, always put a 0 right there. And that way, if we have at least 60 channels, this will be $1. Otherwise, if we don't have at least 60 channels, the kids package is going to cost you what the other packages cost, which for 2 cable boxes will be $16. So quite a discount. And then of course, if this is not true, this is the entire true, what happens if this is true. So we're going to have to do the if it's false, and if it's false, then it's 0. So the kids package is only $1, but we need to multiply this whole thing by 12 to get the yearly cost. Now the other packages. And we already calculated this in here. This is just going to be this VLOOKUP right here. So we are going to multiply the number of other packages times the VLOOKUP we already made, which looks up the price for the number of cable boxes. $16. Number of other packages. $16. Yes, that's correct. And then we have to multiply that by 12 for 12 months. All right. And then for this, we're going to want the sum down to 28. So it is going to be $16.92 to buy from here. So for Wayne, that's how much it's going to cost us. Right in the middle of these other two. Very good. Ooh, now we are 3/4 done. Now on to the wild, wild west of cable providers, that is Wonka TV. Our very last one. Oh look, we get 2 tables with them. How fun. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this long green bar of death in here. Bump that up to 120%. Okay. Now Wonka TV is notorious right now for having a lot of coupon codes out there. And it's got a place you can input the coupon codes, but you can only input one coupon code. And this is how we're going to do Wonka TV. For the upfront costs, it's going to be a straight $45 per cable box, including setup. Isn't that nice? And we have a promotion code right here that says, get your first cable box, including setup, free if you use the coupon code WonkaBox1. Okay, so that means if you only have one cable box, then you can use this and you'd get that one cable box free. No upfront costs. Fantastic. Now, down to our recurring costs. We need to know the number of channels because the monthly cost is dependent on the number of channels, as most cable providers have it. It's got different tiers, which means that we're looking for, if it's 1 to 50, if it's 1, it's going to cost as much as if you're looking for 10 channels, 20 channels, 49 channels. But as soon as you get up to 51 channels, it is then going to go right into the second tier here of costs. And so this is something that we're going to use one of those approximate VLOOKUPs that I've been warning against this entire solution. And for this, we're going to use the coupon code Wonka Channels to get 10% off your first 6 months for the TV channel costs, if we want to use this coupon code. Okay, cool. Now, there's an extra TV packages, and you have to pay a different price for each TV package. So we can't just do a count of how many TV packages are selected here on the comparison form. We have to actually go and see, do we have this one, do we have this one, do we have this one? And this coupon code related to the packages says you choose one package to be 20% off for the entire year with coupon code Wonka Extra 99. Isn't that wonderful? So the things we need to know. We need to know the number of cable boxes because that is our upfront costs are dependent on that. So number of cable boxes, and that's equal to number of cable boxes. We want to know the number of channels. That's equal to number of channels. We want to know if we have each of these channels, each of these packages. And to save time in writing each of these packages out, I'm just going to do a formula. I'm going to write package. Help us a little bit. Package, 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 package. Then I'm going to say that's equal to the kids flag, sports flag, it's equal to news flag. And you see I'm typing only until it auto completes it. You see right there it says news flag. And I'm clicking tab to auto fill it in. Lifestyle package. And now with these, I'm going to put a space in there because I'm going to calculate the monthly cost. And additionally, because with these packages it comes with a coupon code, I'm going to do the cost with the third code. This is the first code, second code, third code. You know, to make clear, cost with code Wonka Extra $14.99. All right. Space that out. Let's wrap it. Cool, cool. All right. Now the monthly costs should be as follows. Control D to fill that down. The code with Wonka Extra. Choose one to be 20% off the first year. You know, actually, maybe to help me out, I'm going to, if this is true, then I'm going to have it, otherwise not. So I'm going to multiply each of these by their respective package. It's true, and the way that it works in Excel is true converts to 1, and in a multiplication, in arithmetic, a true is given the value 1 in arithmetic. So $14.99 times true is just $14.99. Whereas if I drag this formula down, it'll be 0, because we're multiplying the sports package by the value of false. And the value of false in arithmetic is given the value of 0. True is given the value of 1. False is given the value of 0. So if you multiply 2975 by 0, it'll just be 0. And then I pull it down just like that. So now that's how much it is going to cost us right there. $14.99 times if we have checked the flag or not. Now the cost if we use that code. Now this is going to be kind of interesting because we are going to choose one package to be 20% off. But we want to choose the most expensive package that we have checked. We only want right now the kids package and the lifestyle package. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to say, if this package I'm looking at right here, the one right next to me, the kids package, if this is the highest value in all of these packages that we have. Now you see why I multiplied by the flag. If this is the maximum value in this group we have here, then I want you to multiply, or then I want you to get this kids package and multiply it by 20% off. 1 minus 20%. Otherwise, it'll just be the cost without the discount. So this will just be $14.99 still. These two are not the highest, so they're just 0. But this one should be 80% off if I wrote this formula correctly. And it is $15,992. I could round that, but this project is tiring me, so I will not do that. So we have the upfront costs right here. Upfront costs, we're going to have the box and the setup on one line. And for this one, it says $44.99 per cable box, including setup. So that will just be $44.99 times the number of boxes. Now it's bothering me that this doesn't say monthly. I'm going to do monthly for this too. And then I'm going to do coupon code 1, where I'm going to say Wonka box 1. And this was $44.99 including setup. So this will be this minus 1. I would do a maximum function to make sure this can't be negative, but it's only minus 1 and 1 is our minimum, so this will work out just fine. I'm going to multiply that by $44.99. So the box and setup, we save 45. What is that? Yeah, save $45 doing that. No, this doesn't make any sense. Just gonna delete this whole line. There's no such thing as a monthly upfront cost. Why did I say that? And then now we need to look at the number of channels, the recurring costs for that. And this is going to be interesting because right here we have a code that applies for the first 6 months So I'm going to do something I haven't done yet, and I'm going to really stretch this out across all these columns, this formula, so it's going to look a little bit more elaborate than the other ones. We need to get the minimums of each of these for the VLOOKUP. And so we could do 0 and 50, and I could type it out, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a formula to do this, because although I could quickly write these out just like this, I think it'll be faster if let's say we had a list of, I don't know, 50 of these, or of these segments, or 1,000. It'll be much faster if we know how to write a formula for the future. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a find function. I'm going to find a hyphen in there. And I'm going to find a hyphen within this text. And it is at position 4. So then I'm going to use a right function. I'm going to find the right of this text, and I'm going to get the length of this text minus 4, because this comes to 4, and if this length is 7, then it'll be 7, total length 7 minus hyphen length 4, which will be a total of 3. So it'll give us the right 3 characters of this number of channels, which will be 150, which is the highest number that we're looking for. It's 150, this should be 200, and if we drag it all the way down, it is as follows. Now right now, Excel recognizes it as a text, so I'm going to put a value around it so that Excel says find the value of this text. If this doesn't come out to be a number, it'll give you an error, but all of these are numbers, so it should work out just great, just like that. And for this, I'm going to just get all the prices for these. All right, now we've got a table that we can use for the VLOOKUP. I'm going to color this in blue. So we know that this is a formula. It's not something that we were given. And so now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to compute all of the recurring costs for all of our different packages. Blah, 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 blah. Recurring costs is January, February, and I hope that it'll autocomplete. Yes, it will. All the way to December. And for this one, I'm going to look at the price for the channels, all the packages. Copy those down here. I want the values. Just want the values. I don't want the formulas. Because these are formulas right here. So if you copy the formula, it'll give you the this with package after it. It'll, yeah, as you saw, it just turned out to be a nightmare. I'm going to go ahead and make this into a nice little table. Like that. Isn't that great? Okay, and for the channels, we're just going to compute the cost of the channels. So in January, this should be a simple number of channels we're looking for. Well, we want to VLOOKUP the number of channels we're looking for. And I'm going to look it up in this table right here. Two, and then we want an approximate match, so we want true. We can also put a 1 right there, but putting the value true will also work. And how this ends up working, did that work? 105.99? Yes, it did. Went and grabbed 200, but if we have 180, it should also grab 200. Back away. It should grab, oh, it's only grabbing 87.99. Oh, well, that's not correct. We want to grab this one. Okay, so there we go. So now it's looking it up. No, that can't be right. So we gotta subtract these by 1, I guess. That's the play. Yeah, that looks better. Right? Now we gotta add 1. Add 1. Now we gotta add 1. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so that's gonna be our table. Less than 51. it'll go to $35.99. Then as soon as it hits 51, it'll go to $64.99, which is exactly what we wanted. Okay, so hopefully that's working now. Let's test it out real quick. Yeah, so at 180, it should be $105.99. Let's test it at 200 and at 151, should still be $105.99, 151, $105.99, 250, it should be at the next tier, $118.99. Perfect. All right, we're in business. Oh, that took a little too long to figure out. Yeah, in this case, an approximate VLOOKUP is perfect because we're trying to fit it into a range. And how an approximate VLOOKUP works is it'll go and it'll find the number that is highest without going over the lookup number. So if we're looking at the number 250, it'll go and it'll find the highest number until it hits a number that is above the number. And if it hits 251, it'll take the next highest number, which is 201. And it'll grab 201 and it'll say, what are we VLOOKUP? What are we returning? And it'll return this right next to 201. And so I'm going to copy these because that's going to be the same cost for all of the months. Unless I'm doing something wrong. Hopefully I'm not. I can do Control R to drag everything to the right. Just made a motion with my finger, I doubt you saw it, but I swiped to the right. For the kids package, we're just going to go and we're going to multiply this. Well, I suppose I can just get this number right here, can't I? And I'm gonna, if I do my reference correctly, I can just drag this equation, this formula across all of these cells. So we want this column to stick, but we don't want the row necessarily to stick. So I'm gonna put a $sign in front of the column. So that this will be $14.99 all the way across. But going down, these should all be 00, 19.99. There we go. Look at that. The power of references. All right. Now we've got all these different costs and all these different cells for all these different months. And now we can look at the total recurring cost for each month. Alt equals to auto sum it. And then you can Control R to bring that across. Right now they're all looking good. And if we were to use coupon code 2, Wonka channels, then that says we get 10% off your first 6 months. So it's going to be this multiplied by 1 minus 10% for the first 6 months. And then otherwise is just going to be equal to this. And I'm just going to color these differently so that hopefully next time I look at this, I'll know that these are different formulas. I probably won't remember their different formulas next time I look at this, but this gives me a fighting chance. All right, and now we want the total cost with not Wonka box, Wonka extra. There we go. And with Wonka extra, we are looking for the lowest price, which means that I'm going to be using the channels cost plus this cost. Oh wait, I did this wrong. This applies only to monthly TV channel costs, so I want to multiply this. Oh, now that I look at it, I don't even need to include these. These can just go away. So that'll be this plus these. All right, I'm thinking through this on the fly. Right. With Wonka channels, I get 10% off of this, which will be that. So I get 10% off plus, and I'm still summing these. And these, I want an absolute reference so I can drag it across all of these months. Whereas these just stay the same. All right. And for this one, yes, all right, I'm doing that great. I want the regular channel cost plus the cost with this Wonka extra code for the cheaper lifestyle package. Hopefully I'll be able to drag that across. Yes, 149,972 for all of those. And so now we have to compare the costs. Oh, code 1. Maybe I can drag that down. Maybe it'll be nice to me. Code 2. Yes. Code 1, code 2, code 3. And so the total with this one will be the upfront costs, the standard, or code 1 is Wonka box. So it is the Wonka box cost plus the sum of all of the total recurring costs. You know, and I'm going to make you standard. I'm going to make you standard. Okay. Drag you down, and I'm going to say standard cost, but this time we want the Wonka channels. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and Wonka box 1, Wonka channels, Wonka extra 99. I do believe for this project I'm not even sponsored by Wonka, and I'm just saying them over and over and over again. Then with Wonka extra 99, standard cost, but I'm summing up the monthly cost with the code. And it appears the cheapest one right now is Wonka channels. If we dip that down to maybe we only want 50 channels. Oh, it's not working on me. That's not good. Oh, we gotta stretch this up, don't we? Good thing we're testing this. Looks like Wonka channels was now the worst coupon code, and the best coupon code would be Wonka box 1. And I guess Wonka extra 99 thrives if we have an expensive channel chosen, such as sports. Let's go ahead and try it. Let's click on sports. There you go. Now Wonka extra looks like the cheapest one. And there you go. And so total using best code. Oh, no, equals min. The minimum is that. That is the total. All right. So this will come over, grab Wonka, and that's what we have. At this point, we could do something fancy where we could say, you know, if this is blank, then input number of cable boxes, something fancy like that. And then after that, you could go ahead and sum it up. So if this were blank, yeah, we don't want it calculating when it's not, you know, when we don't have all the inputs. So, you know, if I were actually making this for real, I would go ahead and do all these different cases to make it actually really usable. But I'm not going to do that right now. You can go ahead and do that on your own if you want to. So at this point, what we have left to do is put in the conditional formatting. And we can do that right here on the home. Conditional formatting, highlight this section right here of colors. And you can choose any one of these. You see that it can have these different effects on it. This one is green to red, but we want the green on the lowest, the cheapest priced cable. So we want to go over to this one over here, and it'll give us $12.27 for that. And we can go ahead and we can change these around. Wonka TV is still the cheapest, but maybe if we put in 200 channels, now Wonka TV is starting to look a little pricey. If we're only looking at kids, maybe we want a lot of cable boxes. Oh. Maybe I should have done more testing on this. Where's that formula I used? Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah, so now it'll reset that to where it is now a number instead of a text. Okay. Yeah. Then we can reset that 1. And that's our cable provider tool. That was a fairly complicated project. This is a good test for Excel, I would say. Where if you can do this project, then you're really on your way and you probably know Excel better than, I don't know, a lot of the people you're going to be working with. I would challenge you to go on and attempt another project, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Okay, thank you.